Hey everybody, welcome back to Full Blast Garage. I'm John Strong, and man, the weather's beautiful out here, and this time of year it just gets me itching. We got 2 jet skis that run, but you know what'd be cooler? 3 jet skis that run. So I don't know if you've seen one in the background, but I got an old SeaDoo laying around that needs to be put on full blast. So let's climb on in the dojo in there and take a look at what we're working with. All right, so we got the 454 getting ready for its overdrive transmission. We got the El Camino waiting on brake parts for its final will it run. And then, man, I've had all the parts to do this for months and haven't touched it. It's a 1995, I believe, 1996 SeaDoo XP that I bought in the winter because that's the best time to buy a jet ski. I don't know, but I mean, it was cheap. It was $100. Jet ski, trailer, no title, which I don't understand with jet skis. Does everyone just throw away the title the moment they get a jet ski trailer? The actual jet ski does have a title, which that sometimes is shocking too. So I do have the title to this guy. Main issue from previous owner, he just thought the motor was locked up in it, but it wasn't. I just went in and turned it by hand. It's fine. The starter, on the other hand, was in bad shape. The Bendix would lock into place on the little flywheel thing that they have, and that would cause the motor not to want to turn. But, quick tech tip on these old SeaDoos, guys. If they've got this here, the security system, and you ain't got keys, you're just about out of luck. You ain't ever going to start it, no matter what you do, unless you go a full aftermarket ignition system. I have a tuner that I can read these computers and write keys, but that even costs money. Once you go past like 2 or 3 keys, they charge you. There are very few guys that do this tuning anymore, and the SeaDoo dealers that you call, they won't, write you a key from anything that's like less than, the model year 2010 or something. It's crazy. But let's dive on in this thing. So this is one of these 110 horse, get up and go, get out the whole motors. It's got everything there, and it's super original, which in the case of a SeaDoo, and it's got this color hoses on the fuel lines, oh, it's about to be a long day because you got to go in, take all these things out. They ain't worth a crap, and they just come to pieces. So I think that's probably what I'm going to start on. We need to get all those hoses out, starter out, and I'm going to put fuel to it and see if I can get this thing to run. What I hope is these carbs don't need to be rebuilt. I've rebuilt quite a few of these carbs, and it is hit and miss. You could rebuild them and it runs like brand new, or maybe even better, and you rebuild them and it runs worse than when you started and it was clogged. I don't understand it. I don't know what's going on. I even got the little pressure thing to pop the pop-off valves, and it don't matter. You can go through it all, and I'm not a SeaDoo mechanic, but I am good enough to where if they're close, I can get them running, get them on the water. But half this stuff I'm looking at, I don't know what it is. But let's go ahead, get set up here to start taking the starter, all these fuel lines out, and see if this thing can turn over. So the starter location on these SeaDoo XPs is right here. The tooth shoots out, goes to the flywheel right there. So this thing, it's got an extra ground strap to it also. I guess that might help the starter.
but there's 2 bolts, one here, one on the bottom side. I think it might screw in from the other side. So I'm gonna get this starter loose, pulled out. Let's get a new one of those put on, and we can start on the process of getting all the fuel lines taken out.
All right, now as you guys can see in here, I've got my backup wrench and this top bolt for this starter. And go ahead and get our 6 Allen head, a 1/4-inch drive wrench. I'm gonna go ahead and try and break this thing loose. And if you don't have a full socket set of Allens and you're planning on working on a jet ski, you need to get them, because I'd say at least half the fasteners are Allens. And this thing, it's from Canada, so it's all metric. Oh, never gonna see that again. Let me grab all that stuff out of there. Well, I got that second bolt loose. Washer fell down. Still trying to snake out that one nut that I lost that was on the first bolt that I took out, but man, I don't wish this SeaDoo evil on nobody. So, starter is loose. We're gonna have to see if we can snake this thing out some way. And I know there's been some very questionable wiring done on this thing, so I'm gonna redo that. Because if you can't tell, there's a good old car battery cable on here, and we're gonna go ahead and take that out of the box, put the correct connection on this starter here, so at least we got one thing we ain't got to worry about, because this thing's got so much exposed metal, it's just asking to arc onto something down there because the metal is tight. There's stuff all around this starter. And again, when you're tightening this stuff up, I mean, again, it's tough, but you got to have a feel for it. You don't want to smoke this terminal down real crazy hard, because you will break it on these small jet ski motors. But this thing, if you can envision it, it just sets up against the flywheel like this. It's mounted, and here's your teeth. This thing, it worked, it just wasn't very strong, and that's pretty common for these starters, especially aftermarket. You want to have an actual SeaDoo starter and just rebuild it. You're way better off starting with that. I found a little bit better upgrade one that I'm gonna try on this one. But let's go ahead. We'll snake the other end of this wire out, put a correct positive cable on it, and I'll pick back up whenever we're starting to slide this starter back in position. I'm going to show you guys this. So this is kind of the power going in, your starter solenoid, power going out to your starter here. And this is what I'm working with here, trying to get this car cable out. This thing's a little bit bigger than what you need, but who knows. Let's go ahead and use the bigger cable. I got another one kind of similar size. This thing's already been cut up, so I'll go ahead and run a larger one through. We'll break this nut loose, get our new cable, run through, put this box back in place, and I'll pick back up when we're starting to slide the starter in. So as you can see, I got my new wire ran. I'm gonna snug that down. It's got the correct end that we need. It's not all raised like the old one, and this is going to bolt up to the starter pretty easily. So we'll go ahead and snug this 10 mil down that holds this wire onto the solenoid. We'll plug this pack back in its little weatherproof pouch. Even though, I mean, these things have been
wallered out, and this thing ain't gonna be waterproof without some epoxy or something like that. But I'm not super worried about that right now. I just want to get this thing ready to at least run. I got a pond that we can run this thing on. I ain't got to worry about the water getting that high up in it. So go ahead and tighten that thing down and get this box put in, and we'll move on to the starter. So while we got our new wire run up here, and we got our starter where we can kind of easily access this point, let's go ahead and install it. Once you get that starter up under these carburetors in this version, there's not a whole lot of room to maneuver anything under there. And I'm not the biggest fan of just kind of smoking this thing down a 1/4 inch at a time, or a 1/4 turn. So let's go ahead, work on getting this thing tightened down while we got it up here. And this is a 10 mil. And I'm gonna get the bolt started while it's not hanging out over the top of this thing, because if you've ever dropped anything in this engine bay, you know it goes straight to the bottom, and there's like a cavity in there that ain't ever gonna let you get anything out. So like I told y'all before, it's very important. This is a tight connection, but you do not want to break this post because you'll ruin the starter, or at least you'll have to replace the post part of it. But you want it tight where this thing ain't gonna move around. Then you can go ahead and just kind of fish this thing through until it gets to its home. And again, we got the 2 bolts that we got to get started on here. It's very tight. Any day now. Man, this thing, it's gonna wrestle you till the end. Promise you. Again, you don't want to force this thing. It's got a seal right up against this block with an O-ring. You just want to kind of make sure you're straight. Get your first bolt started here. Man, I don't wish this SeaDoo evil on nobody. There is just not quite enough room in these engine bays to do a whole lot of work. So we got 1 bolt started. Your bolt on your bottom side is a shorter length than your top side bolt. And on this starter, I think someone else has done this. They ran a nut on the other side of your top bolt, and they put an extra ground there. I don't think SeaDoo does it from the factory that way. I think there's another eyelet kind of on this thing that's meant to just be a ground strap. Someone just went the 2-for-1 way there. They're probably like me and tired of wrestling this thing around in here. All right, we got that bolt started. We'll go ahead and tighten both them down, get our ground on, get our battery in. Let's test to make sure this thing still turns over. It's been a while since I messed with it, so hopefully nothing's gone wrong. And now that we got our starter tightened up, we got positive cable, and we've got 2 grounds, and then a ground coming out of the top of the box that had your starter solenoid and all that in it. I like to use these sealed batteries. These guys seem to last a few years longer than the ones you got to fill with the acid. So keep these on a trickle charge. You'll get a couple years out of them. These just old Riley Super Start. But I'm gonna throw this in there, tighten our negative, our positive, make sure we got all our cables, the correct ones on there, and then we'll go ahead and plug the key in and just see if it'll turn over. I don't think there's any gas or anything in here, so it probably won't fire, but just want to see if this thing will turn over and is not locked up. So we got the battery installed. Got both the wires tight on this thing. I think both these keys work. So let's see. We can make this thing make any kind of noise. Hopefully it turns over. Come on. Come on. Oh no. What's going on? SeaDoo security strikes again. Jeez, that thing was scaring me. Whew. Man, that thing turns over pretty good. Is that shaking the camera like crazy? Oh no. Well. This thing might have kind of like a rough spot in the crank. Man. All right, let me troubleshoot this for a second and we'll start up filming here in a minute. So I went ahead and pulled the plugs out on this thing, see if it'd turn over, you know, past that kind of hard spot. Man, it's spitting oil. I don't know if I like that. That's probably not the best sign, but it might have been hydrolyking on that oil. But I thought all the 2-cycle oil drained out. I've disconnected all the hoses. So I'm gonna sit here, crank on this for a little bit, little on, little off. Let's see if it just spits more oil out, because I guess there's a chance the whole crankcase could just be full of oil and it's hydrolocking on that. But I'll turn that over for a little bit and see if anything changes. Okay, well, I turned this thing over quite a few times and got a bunch of oil to come out of the crankcase, just blowing it out. I put the plugs back in, gave it a little go juice. I kind of just want to see if this thing fires. Let's go ahead and give it a shot. Oh, we just heard something. Uh-oh. Woo! Oh, it's gonna be a runner. It's gonna be a runner. It just wants to go. Look at it. Woo! Man, this thing, it ain't started in God knows how long. At least 2006, I believe. Man, that's 20 years. And she fires right up. But it did leave a little Cheech and Chong action back here by the 454. Woo! Man. But it's a runner. You know what? I'm gonna keep going through this. Let's work on replacing all those fuel lines. Get some 2-stroke oil in this thing. New gas. We're gonna be riding this thing on Lake Navasota. I'm gonna be cutting them 360s, you know. I'm gonna 360, I'm gonna submarine it, shoot it straight out of the water. All right, well,
let me get to ripping those old fuel lines out. I'll get you guys a better picture of it here in a second. Well, if this thing looks like it's sitting a little higher, it's because it is. This trailer has been sitting on completely flat tires. And after this thing cranked, man, I got so confident. I went ahead and ordered 2 brand new trailer tires because this thing's going in the water. No, I know that if it don't run, it's at least got a roll for someone else to be able to take this off my property. The next step for me to please God not have to rebuild these carburetors, let's get out all this SeaDoo gray fuel line and replace it. I think all this stuff is 5/16 or 1/4 inch. Replace it all with brand new hoses. The tank looks clean. I'll grab y'all and kind of show you where all these hoses go to up in the front hole here. So in the front hole here, we have this octopus looking thing that goes into the fuel tank, and that's got all those gray hoses with all those original SeaDoo connectors. And man, it looks like stuff's growing off this thing. Like, it looks pretty nasty. We're gonna go snip these guys off one by one. You got half of them going up here to your fuel valve that I'm guessing probably doesn't work. See, that's right here on the outside of the hole. But our main concern is these carburetor feeds. Let's get those. We got a feed, a return, then all this tubing going to the valve over here. But just, if you're tackling this job, just, snip it off one by one so you're not, questioning where each hose goes back on the tank or on the carb. So let's go ahead. Your hose just sneaks, right here up against the hole, goes back to the engine, comes out on that side over there. You can see these lines just laying there. So this isn't a hard job. Anybody can do this. Just want to go ahead and get started, start fresh with new lines. Well, man, guys, if I'm looking whipped, it's because I am. Whew. These SeaDoo fuel clamps were designed by the devil with help from Beelzebub. I'm positive. It's like this clamp that has a part that clamps over. On the other side, there's a little tab that bends out. I mean, man, if you can't get your wire cutters in there just perfectly to kind of twist it off, it's just a bear. And I've been wrestling with that for the good part of probably an hour and a half, replacing all these lines. But all the lines are replaced, even the fuel valve. The only line I didn't replace is a vent. And I'm gonna go ahead and just leave the old gas cap off for the vent trick, just in case that's an issue. But I think I can try and turn this thing over. I put about 3 gallons of lawnmower gas in it and made sure it had a little 2-stroke oil. And I got a little valve here on the oil. Once this thing cranks up, then I'll go ahead and kick on the 2-stroke oil. I don't want this thing to sit here and crank, and again, the crankcase fill up with oil like it was before. Well, everybody say your prayers. Come on, let's give it a little shot of the old Honda juice. Might help it kick over a little bit easier. Woo, lost to go. Come on. Okay, better. Not 100% sure if this thing's gonna pull any gas.
there are some lines on here that are rusty, and there's a good chance the carbs are in just as bad a shape.
I don't know if y'all can see it, but this thing is a smoke show. Holy crap. I don't see any gas leaking, which I don't know if that's a good or a bad sign. Could mean that we don't have any gas at all coming up here. So I'm gonna spin the old fuel filter off, see if there's been anything pumped at all. There's a fuel filter that's about right under here inside this thing. Bone dry. She ain't pulling no gas. Man. Fuel pump is part of the carburetors on these things, guys, so whoo, we're gonna have to open up the doors and let Cheech out of here. But it looks like the carburetor's gonna have to come off, at least to get the fuel pump diaphragm going and pumping. So I think it ran long enough where if it was gonna pick something up, it would have. Well, let's go on and just dive on into this sucker deeper. Whew, we're getting too deep, way too deep. So before we dive off into completely taking the carbs off this thing, I'm gonna try and just put a diaphragm right here. This is the fuel pump and the pulse that it gets. I believe this is an old line also. I'm gonna replace this line. There's 4 bolts that hold this on. There's a diaphragm behind it. I got a bunch of those things laying around from old carb kits and stuff that didn't need them. I'm gonna replace that, smack that thing back on, see what kind of fuel pump pulsing that I get then, because there's nothing at all pulling fuel here. Nothing coming out of the return line either. So let's go ahead and get that started. So this is kind of what we're working with here. This is the diaphragm that seals up against there and pumps. I mean, this one's doesn't look torn up. I was expecting this thing to look kind of way worse than it is. But we'll go ahead, replace this, clean everything up, clean up the seals, and slap that thing back on and just see if we can get any kind of fuel to pump. Well, I completed the world's laziest carburetor build on a SeaDoo, just trying to see if we can get the fuel to get pulsed up into the carbs. I mean, step 1. So hopefully replacing all those diaphragm looking gaskets and O-rings and crap like that, that'll get it to start sucking or pulsing. Otherwise, we might have an issue with our rotary valve, which that sounds like something I ain't gonna touch. So y'all better hope this does it, or next owner can deal with a rotary valve. So I filled all the fuel lines, so hopefully we should have gas already, like purged up. And go ahead and open the 2-stroke oil. She's definitely a smoker. Oh my gosh. I don't know if this thing ever pulled a drop of gas. Let me look on this side here and see if we got anything coming out of the return. Bone dry. So nothing returning at all. I don't know how long you attempt to run something like this before giving up. That had to have been just all the fuel that I filled into the line. Well, it does something different when you choke it. That might be good. Who knows? See, no choke. All right, I don't want to run it any more than that. Holy crap. I think I did something. I don't know if I did the right thing, but it's different. It's running a lot longer. I mean, I'm almost positive this is test on the pond ready. Oh, we got return fuel. Man, it's pumping. I could tell by the way it was running, it wanted to go. You know what? I think it's time for an outfit change and get some of these fumes out of this garage, and we're gonna put this thing on Lake Navasota. I'm gonna be doing them 360 twirlies, submarining this sucker. No, I just hope it'll just go in a circle, honestly. Take a little bit of throttle. I'd be super happy with any of those things. But hey, what else could you ask for with a $100 jet ski? Just put a little bit of time and kill your lungs, and you're there. You're gonna be on the lake. All right, everybody. Today's the day. After a quick outfit change, we're gonna go ahead and see if this old girl will go around Lake Navasota. After being off the water for 20 years, we got this thing running. Hopefully it'll float. We don't know that yet. But see if we can at least get going fast enough where it flips the bill up on this sombrero. So let's go ahead, take it, and launch this sucker. So far, the bearings in the trailer haven't failed. They're questionable. Them new tires, they gonna help me either roll this sucker down the road or roll it straight off my property into someone else's possession. Well, it looks like we're about to test that theory. Is it such thing as having a frown while you're riding a jet ski?
Man, everybody, did y'all see that thing moving on the water? Woo! Just blew my sombrero off a couple times. It's definitely still got its issues. I think there's a wear ring issue with the propeller. I can look at that, but man, I've never even put this thing in the water to see if it floated. So for it to go, to plane out, and it got a little bit of speed, it was surging, but man, what else can you ask for from a $100 jet ski that's been off the water for 20 years? I didn't rebuild both the carbs. All I did was replace the fuel pump diaphragm, a couple little O-rings in there. It's got a battery. It's got, God, I don't even know. I put new trailer tires on it in case this thing didn't start. Whoever bought it from me, they can wheel that thing out a whole lot easier. But man, I hope everybody liked this video. Go out, buy yourself an old piece of junk jet ski, and people have them everywhere. They're super cheap. I mean, where else can you have that much fun in a day for a couple $100? You know, I mean, you could definitely, with just a tiny more bit of work, take this thing out on a lake and feel pretty confident. These motors are tough, you know. Make sure it's got compression and it'll go. But I'm gonna mess with the ignition system on it a little, just mess with the plugs, the wires, get it all kind of straightened out. And man, I think we got a new little family ripper to go with the other 2 jet skis we got. Now I just gotta figure out how to tow 3 jet skis. So y'all might have to help me on that one. I don't know. But I'd say this is a successful video. We got this thing running on the water after 20 years. And if we didn't put this SeaDoo XP on full blast, I don't know what we did. So, man, I'd like everybody just take a second to like, subscribe, comment, tell me what's wrong with this thing. If you can help me, that would be great, because I don't know what I'm doing. It looks like an engine, but there's funny things all over it. So help me out. But man, until I see you next time, just go out, do something that makes you happy, like riding a jet ski.